you have a lot of excessive attachment to one sensual object, you can land into big problem. And he gives the example one by one. By saying, for example, the butterfly is very attracted to the sensual object of a form, like butter lamp. If you burn a butter lamp, then the butterflies will immediately come, seeing this as a beautiful object, you see. And they die there. You have seen this. Butterflies and other flies, they come and die there. So that is the disadvantage of getting too much obsessed with even one sensual object, like a physical form. The butterfly dies. Then look at the fish. It's very obsessed with the taste. So the fisherman put something on the hook, as a bait, and lie, waiting there for the fish to come out. Then the fish, as soon as he tastes that piece of meat, whatever, the fisherman throws him on the land, and the fish dies because of obsession with the taste. Elephant is said to be very fond of touch. It's a very powerful animal, but if you just gently massage the elephant, it will lie down. And then the human beings, they hook the elephant and enslave the elephant. So that is the problem of obsession with the touch. Then smell, with the house flies. Wherever there is a dirt, smelly dirt everywhere, they just, hundreds of them go there and their feet stuck there and die. We have seen this. That's the disadvantage of being obsessed with smell. And then the sound. It is said that some wild animals like deer, they are very attracted towards songs, beautiful, singing or musics. So the hunters, they play some beautiful music, and then the hares come with raised ears, and then they get entrapped and killed. So even if you are attracted or obsessed with one sensual object, these are the examples how much trouble you can get into. So now look at us human beings. We are obsessed with all the 5 sensual objects. We are obsessed with all the 5 sensual objects. And as soon as I read this teaching, I was able to relate it to the malls, big malls today. If you visit a big mall, you will clearly be able to see, and with a little bit of exaggeration maybe, but you will be able to see that exactly. If the mall has, say, 5 floors, then the ground floor is fragrance. Most of the big malls, you have one floor for fragrance of all kinds, made from this flower, that flower, So we go there, spend a lot of money. Move to the next floor. Oh, you already spent a lot of money and time there, okay? Now move to the next floor. Next floor, let us say, is restaurants. The malls have that. I'm not exaggerating. The malls have that. Japanese food, Chinese food, Israeli food, whatever, so many different. So you go there and taste. Although you can easily make much better food in your home, but still we are addicted, spend more money there, you see. You get entrapped. Go to the next floor. Clothes, or body touch, silk, cotton, whatever, handmade, whatever. You get the same problem there. Then move to the next floor. Form, television, where you can see all the forms. Flat screen television or whatever, the latest version. Then you get entrapped there also. Then go to the next floor. Sound, CDs, DVDs. You see? So this is actually, this malls, sometimes I think it's really the people who do business, they understand our weakness. So according to our weakness, they come up with whatever, we call it demand, people's demand. So according to people's demand, you come up with different shops. Demand actually means people's weakness. Okay? So this is the example. This is the example. So sometimes I even tell people that when you visit these big malls, you get some kind of sickness, which is called shopping coma. which is called shopping coma. A clear indication is when you reach in one of these big shops where everything is nicely arranged, you immediately become, enter into a state of coma, because they have arranged everything in such a way that there is, right at the entrance, there is a stack of baskets lying there, and the one who goes before you takes one basket and starts putting something from the shelf, and you cannot go without the basket. The situation is such, I should. You're not so sure what you're going to buy. Still, like a zombie, you pick up a basket, and you cannot go all around with a empty basket. You must put something. You see. So what to put? You're not so sure, and you walk few steps, and you see, buy 2, 1 free. Okay. Here is the trap. You see. Buy 2, 1 free. Oh, this is good. I may not need it, but I can give it to my friend. So in this way, you keep on buying so many things there. And then in addition to these traps lying there, you have another trap in your pocket, which is the plastic card. You are not sure how much money. For many people, you are not sure how much money you have. When you actually spend the real money, you understand how much you are spending, you see. But when you have plastic card, you have to pretend like any other people. I have a lot of money in this plastic card, so just draw it, take it, you see. So they take the money, give you the bill. And then after all this, when you reach your home and unpack the things you bought, then you come out from the coma, come back to your senses. Why the hell I bought all these things? Have you experienced something like that? You may not be in a coma, you are intelligent people. So it happens with people. So what I'm saying is really that we should always be careful what we really need and what we don't need. And people work so hard to get money, work like donkey, you see. And you cannot just waste your money like that, you see. So it's not how much you are earning, but how you are spending, how you are wasting your money. She agrees, you see. So that's the thing, you see. So therefore what I'm saying is we should really, in order to get that long-lasting peace and happiness, we should focus more within oneself. Not just the external material acquirement. Because these external material acquirements are expensive in one way, and secondly, they cannot be with you all the time. They cannot give you long-lasting peace and happiness. For example, if you are really, like some of the family members died, or you are feeling very low and miserable, the money helps you, or the food, take delicious food, will it help you? Or try to sing a song, of course you will not be able to sing, you see. So on those occasions, the only remedy is, if you think from within and change your attitude, immediately it can change. For example, if you are feeling very low, whatever be the reason, you feeling very low and sad because you are thinking only about yourself, only about this personal problem, personal tragedy, you are thinking only about that. But if you compare it to the sufferings of many others who are suffering much more than you, if you compare, then oh thank God, comparing to that person, I am much more lucky. You see? So it's how you think. It's how you think. According to Buddhist teaching, sometimes they say if somebody slapped you, they say, oh, he slapped me, but he did not hurt me. And so I'm thankful, he did not wound me. If he wound you, oh, I was just wounded, did not kill me, so I'm really lucky, So good ways of thinking, you see. Good ways of thinking. So with this thinking, you can change everything. So start appreciating, not only thinking about the bad things, but also think more about the good things that are there at your disposal. So that's important. So the purpose of all this spiritual practice is that you are able to maintain that tranquility and calmness and happiness. Maybe, I'm not asking perfect happiness, which may be difficult, but relatively calm, peaceful, tranquil. So those state of tranquility, relative tranquility and peace and serenity, you can maintain even in very difficult situations, if you have the right attitude. If you don't have that attitude, then nobody can help you. Very difficult. So, you should be your master. You should be your friend. You should be your guide. You should be your teacher. That's the teaching of the Buddha. That's the teaching of the Buddha. So in order to do that, you need to develop some sense of humility, receptivity towards good things. That's why before we start the teaching, we do the prostration in Buddhism. This is to reduce arrogance. When you bow down to somebody when you are not arrogant, but when you are arrogant, you will not bow down to anybody. You will go like this. Proud, arrogant. Pride goeth before a fall. You know that English proverb? Pride goeth before a fall. That means when you are proud and arrogant, then you will trip and fall, because you are not looking down on the earth. Obstructions may be there, so you will fall. Okay? So therefore the purpose of this kind of prostration is to develop that sense of humility. And if you have that sense of respect to others, sense of humility, you can always get so many knowledges, inspirations from other people. The Buddhist teachers, they say that you can just find yourself, whether the beautiful green grasses and flowers, they grow on the exposed top of a mountain or down in the valley. Where do they grow mostly? Down in the valley. So if you are humble like the valley, there's a possibility for the growth of all the spiritual flowers, all the green grasses of knowledges. But if you act like an exposed top of a mountain, remain arrogant, like a puffed up balloon, if you put water on a puffed up balloon, the water will not stay, it will fall. So if you remain like a puffed up balloon, inflated, knowledge will not stick, because you already think, you may not have it, but you are thinking that I am somebody, I know almost everything. You see? So this false sense of pride, arrogance, hampers you gaining good inspirations, good knowledges. So therefore we bow down. Bow down to whom? The purpose I've already explained. Bow down to the great teachers. We bow down to the great teachers, not saying that this great teacher will solve all my problem, but we are simply saying that I want to follow you, your good inspiration, your good examples. So therefore in Buddhist temples we have Buddha's images. Once I had one Israeli friend who came to Dharamsala, who was very interested in Buddhism. He was not a Buddhist, but very interested in Buddhism. So I taught her a few days, and she was like writing down everything. And one day she came to me and said, Geshe, I don't feel comfortable today. I said, what happened? And she said, this morning I went to the temple and everybody was bowing down to the image. I don't feel comfortable. It's not in their tradition, you see. So I said, so what? How can you explain this? I said, you feel comfortable because you are arrogant. I jokingly, I was answering, but I said, because we know each other very well by then. So I said, you don't feel comfortable bowing down to somebody because you are arrogant. So she said, can you explain? And I said, I'll explain. We are not saying that this image is Buddha. We are not that stupid. But what we are saying is this is a reminder of the great teacher. Then I asked her, when you travel around, do you carry the photos of your families? She said, yes. I said, you are stupid. these photos are not your real family members. She said, oh, no, I know that, but these are reminders. So I said, see, that's also reminder. Same, you see. So that's the idea. Okay? So that's the idea. Then also normally when the teacher sits on the throne, then he snaps his finger like this. He sits on the throne, then he snaps his finger. So that is also to show that when the teacher sits on the high throne, you are sitting down, I am sitting on the high throne. I might become very arrogant, thinking that, oh, these people are listening to me, I am somebody, you know. So in order to reduce that arrogance, you snap the finger, just to remind you, don't get arrogant, everything is impermanent. Just like this. When we do the debating, in the monasteries, when you do the philosophical studies, we do a lot of debating, which you might have seen. So when we do the debate, we clap our hands like this. We have a rosary, we hold the rosary like this, and then we clap our hand. So the purpose of clapping the hand is that when you clap the hand, a sound is produced. This sound was possible because of clapping two hands. Not just one hand. This hand you move like this, nothing will come. But when two hands are clapped, then a sound is produced. So this is to show that everything comes into being by depending on many causes, conditions, not just one cause, one condition, but many causes and conditions. Interdependent origination, interconnected reality, number one. Number two, when you clap the hand, sound is produced, but how long did this sound last? In a moment, in an instant, and then it disappeared. So therefore our life is also like this sound. It's changing every minute, every second. You are growing older and older. So according to the Buddhist teaching, they say that your aging started immediately after the birth. So it is wrong to think that you become, you've started aging when you are over 60 or something. No. You've started becoming older and aging right after the second moment. In fact, the first moment, the birth, itself is responsible. Itself is the cause for the aging. Itself is cause for the death. If you are not born, how can you die? So normally we like birth. We don't like death. But if you like birth so much, you need to understand who is responsible for the death. The birth. The birth itself. Okay? The birth itself. But we don't understand this. The Buddha spoke about these four sufferings of birth, of aging, of sickness, of death. Okay? Okay? But we don't pay much attention about the birth as suffering. So normally we say, happy birthday. The Buddha almost said, suffering birthday. And who is right, who is wrong, you can see, as I told you yesterday, right after the birth, the first thing that the child does is laughing or smiling or crying. If it is happy birthday, then he should be laughing. I came into this world, he should be doing something like this. But he came crying. By this I am not saying that you should stop celebrating birthday. That's probably on a different level. But all I am saying is we should understand the realities. This is how we originated or came into this world. So it's important to understand these realities. So that's why I was saying that all these Buddhist teachings are in accordance with the law of nature, in accordance with the reality. So in order to flourish in life, open your eye to the reality, to the law of nature, and try to live in harmony with the law of nature. If you destroy the environment, is it in harmony with the law of nature? No. You see? If you kill somebody, is it in harmony with the law of nature? No. If you think that you are going to live permanently forever, and therefore you need a lot of money, big building, is it in accordance with law of nature? No. I mean, look at the birds. Did they construct some multi-story buildings? The birds, or the cows, or the animals, do they have multi-story buildings? Have you seen one? Do they have big hospitals when they become sick? These are interesting questions, you know. So what I'm saying is that if you live in accordance with the law of nature, there will be less illness, less sickness. But if you try to be overly smart and go against the law of nature, you will suffer. Now look at those people living in big cities, you know. They live among millions of people but having no friend, because their own way of thinking, their own attitude, and also the way of the changing society, you see. So therefore living in harmony with the nature is extremely important, and that is what the Buddha taught. If you look at the name of the Buddha himself, the Buddha means the fully awakened one. The fully awakened one, who is widely awake. When we say the Buddha as somebody who is widely awake, it's also implying that the rest of us are not awake. We are sleeping. Of course you will say, no Geshe, I am not sleeping, I am listening to your teaching. But you are listening to my teaching with sleep. And then there are people who do sleepwalking. So in sleep also you do a lot of things, but in a confused way. In a confused way. So therefore we need this awakening, awareness. We need this cleanness and openness and innocence, like the little kids. They have some kind of purity. You've seen with small kids, you see this purity, that innocence, their openness, want to know everything. Just give them some small toys, some flowers, whatever. They will play it hours. They are able to appreciate it. They are able to appreciate the nature. But with the grown-up people, the so-called intelligent, grown-up, educated people, whatever is there at your disposal, you are not so happy. You know. So we need to return back a little bit to that purity of the child. And look at the small kids. When they have done some disagreement, they fight for few seconds. After that, they play together. But with the grown-up people, if we dislike somebody, then it's your enemy. Day and night you think about how to eliminate this person. So what is taught in Buddhism is, never try to maintain that ill will and hatred. It's possible you have disagreement with people. And when there is a disagreement, try to solve it through dialogue, through negotiation. And that is what His Holiness Dalai Lama is not only teaching, but he's practicing for the last now more than 50 years. We have always been asking the Chinese government to discuss and solve the problem. And always discourage using any kind of violence. And that's why I believe that because of His Holiness's teaching, I can imagine easily how many lives of Tibetans or Chinese, thousands, probably millions, must have saved because of this approach, you see. It's not saying that there's no problem, there are problems, but because of the Tibetan approach. More than 138 Tibetans self-immolated themselves. They have the courage to kill themselves, but not killing any Chinese. You see? So these things are possible if you train your mind. And that will be an example. Not necessarily it will solve the Tibetan issue right now, because it's related to many things. But it will be an inspiration for many people. How to live through negotiation, through dialogue. Because human beings have this great intelligence. That great intelligence must be used for understanding, for dialogue, for negotiation. If you are to use only physical force, then why you need this intelligence? The animals who don't have much intelligence, then they are compelled to use their force, like the tigers and lions. They cannot calculate in the intelligent way, go to school, get training. So when they're hungry, they have to use their physical power and kill others. We are not animals, you see. So therefore, this mind training is for one's own personal happiness and for the happiness of all sentient beings is extremely, extremely, extremely important. Extremely, extremely important. So I'll start. 7-point mind training, written by Geshe Dorje. Homage to the great compassion. Homage to the great compassion. Everybody go to text. So okay, now this kind of spiritual practice is not one-time practice. It's not something that you attend for one workshop and then everything will be clear to you. No, it is something that we must do on a regular basis. Regular basis. So therefore, those of you who are interested in knowing more, then these are some books. Mind Training Like the Rays of the Sun, which is published by my institute in Dharamsala. So this is a very good commentary. You can try to get that. Then this is Awakening the Mind, Enlightening the Heart. This is a commentary on the 7-point mind training by His Holiness Dalai Lama, which is now available also in my institute in the library. So I'm sure there are many, many other commentaries on the 7 points on mind training. So what I'm saying is, you make it a point, since now you are very lucky, I'm very lucky that we all together got this opportunity to study this very precious text. These teachings are born out of mind of those people who have been for several years thinking about what is the best for the peace and happiness of other sentient beings. Not just human beings, all sentient beings. So these teachings are born out of such great minds and great practitioners. So to be able to get time, number one, because in today's time everybody is busy, as I said. Everybody says, I have no time. Especially for good things, nobody has time. For bad things, everybody has time. For not so meaningful entertainment, everybody has time. But for more important, interesting things, people have no time. So we are fortunate we got time, number one. We are fortunate. And number two, to have access to such a teaching, even to be able to hear the name mind training is a privilege. And you will later on realize that when everything starts falling or failing around you, you will start appreciating this text. Trust me, that will happen. Okay? Because when everything fails, then the only thing left is to turn to yourself, and even if the situation is overwhelming, but the only thing left is smile. Smile and love. Have you seen the beggars in India or elsewhere? Have you seen beggars? Normally the beggars, you will find the beggars singing and dancing and laughing. And
in India?
Yeah, in India. Some other places also, I'm sure. Not here? Okay. That may have to do with culture, but mostly I found that when you have nothing, then you come back to your real being. You become more like child, playful, even with small things you play. Okay? So therefore, when everything fails around you, then you will use whatever you have. So therefore, try to acquire these texts and read slowly and try to understand the meaning, and then more importantly, try to practice it, try to live it. Then you can see that peace and happiness coming to you. Okay, it's very important. Okay. So therefore, homage to great compassion.